All right. Welcome, everyone. How's it going? Everybody good? Fantastic. Week 4, everyone. Week 4. OMG. That's pretty exciting, right? And it just flew by. And that's how it's going to be for the rest of your life. No, for your time here at Full Sail. Things are going to go by pretty fast. So, you probably learned already in case you didn't. Um, that that whole thing about procrastinating, waiting till Sunday, please don't do that. Don't. I mean, you're hurting yourself. You wanna enjoy your education, right? So I mean, waiting till Saturday and Sunday. I think some of us may have already tried that. Come on, be honest. You can tell Edward. No, no, Kiana, no. I know it wasn't. I know it wasn't you. It doesn't work. It's rough. It really is. No, but honestly, folks, it's if you take away. Hopefully, you'll take away a number of things from this class. But one of the things I want everybody to take away is time management. Really, I'm serious. It will. It's kind of like a silent beast, like a silent ninja. It creeps up on you and taps you on the shoulder like Saturday or Sunday afternoon, like, hey, remember me? I'm your assignment. I'm like, what? Oh, yeah, I'm your reply post. Just best thing to do is as soon as you have access to your assignment, fire it open, get the instructions going, take a look at them, and get cracking. Because you guys know that life happens. If something can go wrong with your computer, it will. If something comes up, it will. That's just how life rolls. Isn't it wonderful? But I mean, if you start in advance, you'll have more time to kind of prepare for those little hiccups. Speaking of hiccups, aren't you gonna miss this voice? No, I'm kidding. Who? No, come on. I'm just I'm teasing everyone. But it's been great. I've really enjoyed chatting with you folks, checking out the presentations, the first drafts. We got a bunch of them. A number of you guys, I'm sure, have already received it. If you haven't, you'll be seeing that the first draft grades trickle in all throughout the day. So if you haven't received yours, you'll get it today for sure. But I really we like what we see. Um, Hopefully, you've been getting some good peer feedback from your classmates, and we did our best to provide some constructive feedback as well. Some audio feedback. Sorry to have to provide some more audio feedback where you guys have to suffer through my voice. But yeah, if you think you don't like your voice, I totally hear you. But everybody, well, I didn't hear one person where I was like, oh my gosh, what a horrible sounding voice. Everybody sounded, decent. But yeah. So a couple things about week 4, everyone, and I know this sounds like a decent, okay, exceptional, great, fantastic. How's that? Um, about week 4, this sounds like a no-brainer again, but keep an eye on your grades. Believe it or not, sometimes people will wait till like the very, very end to take a look at their grade, and they'll see something that doesn't look right, and they might have a little panic attack, a little scream into pillow moment, and be like, what, how? So that's why I want, you don't have to do it right this second, but when you have time after this session, take a look at everything, make sure everything looks okay, and if you have a question about a grade, a particular grade, just reach out to us as soon as possible, because the sooner you do, the more likely we can explain what happened and that kind of dealio, right? And another thing I'd like everybody to do, and I noticed a number of you did this for your first draft. It was a requirement for your first draft, um, but I want you to do it anyway. Take a look at your degree program and just know exactly what's in store for you the next few months. Know what you got, what you're taking for month 4, for month 6, 7, 8, 9, and beyond. And print it out, post it up on your wall, and that way it gives you a goal to set forward. And if you see a course and you read the description and you're like, whoa, that looks like a doozy, that now would be a great time to kind of, prepare for it. There's all kinds of things you could do. You could check out lynda.com, see if they have any tutorials, and maybe brush up on that, right? That way, when you reach that course, you'll have a slight edge over a student that may not have done that, and you'll have that edge because you'll know so much more, and you'll be able to enjoy the class so much more as well, and that's always nice, right? Let's see here. Okay. I'll take a look at that in a second, Daniel. I apologize about the presentation. Alrighty, I don't want you to think I'm ignoring you. All right, let's move forward, shall we? Got the recording thing on. We are recording. We are good to go. All right, cool. So I mentioned this earlier, but yeah, if you didn't get your first draft, you'll see those trickling in all throughout the day. And so what we're hoping to see for the final presentation, we're going to talk more in detail about the final presentation, and definitely, take the feedback into consideration, the suggestions and the recommendations, and apply them. You don't have to apply every single one, but I mean, if there's a glaring suggestion like, hey, there's no audio in there, then of course you want to do that. That's a big one. That's a big one right there. But if it's kind of a minor one, it's not essential that you apply every single suggestion. You'll know. Like Tika or myself, we will kind of hold on one second. Okay, can you guys see that? Can you guys see my screen? All right, cool. All right, well done, Edward. Okay, so yeah, the first draft grades. Okay, where was I? I was talking about the Walking Dead season opener, wasn't I? No, I digress. I'm kidding, of course. Guess what, folks? I missed it. I caught like maybe the first 20 minutes, and then I had to do some work, and yeah. So no spoilers, people. It's okay. Honestly, I love spoilers, but I know a lot of people don't. They're like, how could you do that? All right, moving right along. Reminders about the final presentation. So I mentioned this for the first draft, and I'm hoping to see it again for the final draft, your opening slide. I know it sounds like a no-brainer, but this is the kind of thing that a video resume should have. It's just kind of convenient for the viewer, for the potential interviewer. Your name, the name of the assignment. In this case, it just helps me. The length of the presentation, how long the presentation is exactly. That way, the viewer knows exactly how much time they need to devote to watching your presentation. Also, please make sure you convert your presentation into a movie file. We use Mac, so make sure it's a .mov file, something that we can open up on our Macs. I know some of you guys have provided YouTube links, and that works fine for me. Teak, are you okay with that? Apple computers, sorry. Yes, I say Macintosh, Apple computers. Um, so yeah, the final presentation should contain, I talked about this earlier, should contain updates and revisions. We don't want it to look exactly like the first draft, because that kind of shows us that you didn't take into consideration any of your peer feedback, any of our feedback that we provided to you. So yeah, it should look, like I said earlier, it doesn't have to have every single suggestion we made, but make some modifications. It's all about progression, all about it's a editing progress, and that's why it's called the first draft. That's why the first draft is called first draft, and the final called the final draft, final presentation. Change the slide pictures. It depends. If that was a suggestion, you can certainly do that. If it wasn't a suggestion and you feel like, Kiana asked, should we change the pictures? And I said it depends. Like if you feel like, hey, I think this would look better if I changed the pictures. I think I can find a more relevant, more engaging picture. Then yeah. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. All right, so I see a number of you have already started on the peer feedback assignment. If some people in your group haven't submitted their first draft, and like maybe you need a couple more to provide feedback to, then give me their phone numbers and I will call their parents and you know and chew them out over the phone. We'll get them grounded. We'll get them in trouble so can't they can't watch any more TV or something like that. No more video games for you, young man. No, no. Honestly, if they haven't provided feedback, I don't know why they maybe they're waiting, or maybe I think the best case to do in this case would be just provide feedback for someone else in another group. People in my class, students in my class, you're broken up into different groups. Everybody see that. I posted it on the announcements and the discussion itself. So you should be, and same thing with Tika's class. There's different groups. So just look at somebody else's group and make sure you have, when you're providing feedback, make sure you write it down. Like this feedback is for Joe Schmo in Daryl's class, in Daryl's group. Sorry, or this is for yeah, same thing. And this person was in Rick's class, Rick's group. Let's see here. Okie dokie. All right, moving right along. So we have a couple of PDF documents, just stuff that's going to help you for how to provide peer feedback. The idea is you have to, when you accept feedback and when you're giving feedback, you have to realize whatever artistic endeavor you're pursuing, there's always room for improvement, whether you're doing it or somebody else is doing it. Nobody's perfect. And that's the thing about, when you're creating something. I don't care if it's like a novel or a film or a website or a song, there's always room to improve. And I would hope that if you're creating a song, it's not complete until you get at least, more than a dozen comments about it, if not just from your buddies or from your mom, just from people that you respect, people that are going to give you some constructive feedback, and yeah, just kind of shop it around, right? So a couple of, basics about how to give feedback. You don't want to come off as hostile, right? You want to create an environment of safety, that way they're comfortable And folks, it's all about delivery. You can say a lot depending on how you deliver the message, right? Um, it's true. I wholeheartedly believe in that. So think about how you want to say something, and just keep in mind that we're all here to learn. I think in many cases, you know, that is essentially true. So be positive too in your comments, and also don't just be positive in giving comments, but receiving comments as well. Even if it sounds a little rough, just keep in mind, okay, maybe this person isn't quite experienced in the art of providing feedback. And stay positive and know that, take it with a grain of salt, and just think, okay, look beyond the tone and just look at it, kind of like abstractly, and just say, okay, I kind of see what they're saying here. I see what they're saying, even though it wasn't said in the most polite manner. I think I could do something about the images here. Be specific. Don't just say, hey, cool job, I love it. Really say, oh, this slide there really fit very well with what you were saying. The transition worked perfectly. The timing was perfect. The pacing. I think you could be more specific with your professional qualifications. You could be specific in saying, like, oh, on slide 5, when you talk about your professional qualifications, I think it would be good to add some more, something like that. Something they can really sink their teeth into. Be immediate. Try to give feedback as quickly as possible. Don't dance around the the idea. Just get right to the point, and they'll appreciate that too. Provide tough love. Again, it's all in the delivery. We're here to learn, and the sooner that we can realize that, the better we will become at our craft. Joshua, exactly. Tact. It's all about tact. I know people that are like PhDs, and they could use a lesson in tact, and there's, for some reason, they lack that gene. But yeah, folks, it will do wonders for your career, for your professional career. Really, people would rather work with somebody who's um, seasoned in the art of tact than not, than somebody that's just kind of like, a robotic, insensitive moron. uh, they hurt though, Tony. Exactly. Yes, keeping it professional. Yeah, absolutely. How to receive feedback, cultivate a growth mindset. Like I said, it's all about progress. It's all about growing as an artist. Take credit for your mistakes. Don't blame it on something else. And even if somebody says, hey, what you did there, you could do better with slide 6. Don't say, well, I would have done better on slide 6, but my dog was barking at me all day long, and you know where I'm going. Exactly, Kiana. Take responsibility. Focus on self-improvement. You'll progress so much faster than if you just start making excuses. Um, Give me your worst. Do your worst and get to the point. Exactly. Learn from criticism, constructive criticism. Again, I'm not talking about, we're not here to bully people. We're not here to make people feel ashamed, but we're here to help each other out. Again, realize something. This is like the perfect place and the perfect time to network, because you never know when you're going to need somebody, like a fellow classmate could be majoring in music production, and maybe you're starting a game production company, and you happen to need a sound designer, or you happen to need a website built, a good one, and yeah, you develop a friendship, and hey, you have someone right off the bat. Find lessons and inspiration in the success of others, right? All right, let's move it right along. So this kind of thank you. Using visual elements. When we were taking a look at your first drafts, we saw, all kinds of examples of where, this was done well, this could have been done better. At times we saw the background could have been tweaked a little bit, with a different color, with a different text font, or a different text color. You probably got some of that, in your feedback, whether it was from your classmate or from Tika or myself. So keep that in mind. It's only going to make your presentation that much better, because all that kind of stuff, if the color is lost with the background, or the text is lost with both of those background and color elements, it's going to hinder your message. And that's one thing you do not want to happen. You want the message to be loud and clear, right? You want it to draw in the audience. So think about that when you're arranging those elements. Articulation. There were a few times when we were taking a look at your presentations. One thing I noticed quite often was a number of us we kind of trail off toward the end of the presentation, but the end is just as important as the beginning. Like in the beginning, a lot of us had really good energy, but towards the end, we kind of trailed off. Like, this was Eddie's happy, and thanks a lot for, um, you want to end with a bang. You want to end, just like articulate your name. This was Edward Tappy. Thank you so much for listening. Here's my contact information. I hope to hear from you soon. Right? Strong ending, absolutely. End strong and confident, and begin with the same way. The same dynamic. So personal branding. So this first draft, the final presentation was all about your brand. As you examined your degree program, and kind of examined where you would like to be, with some of the courses, studying some of the industries or the companies that you're interested in. You you were you were learning like what you want your personal brand to look like. So we saw a lot of great examples of that, and it's all a process, right? So step one, in week one and week two, you were all about like, where how I want it to look like, how I want to approach the execution of the presentation. So you were thinking about like who you were, who am I, right? And what do I want this brand, this personal brand, to look like? So the next step was to create it, right? So I saw a lot of really good examples of that. The next step was how to communicate it. This was in the first draft, and your 2.4 assignment, that was kind of like the strategy phase. How am I going to say this? How am I going to script it out? Very, very important. I noticed a number of you guys did really well with your script. Some of us need to kind of work on making it flow a little bit better, because whether the script could be really solid, the message could be really solid, but the delivery might be a little bit stale. So the way that you can communicate that better, is to just rehearse the heck out of it, so it sounds natural, so it doesn't sound like you're reading it, right? It's gonna Your audience will follow you so much better that way. And the other thing about it is you'll be more comfortable, you'll sound more passionate, and you'll have more fun with it as well. It's easier to improvise too. Much easier than if you don't have any script and you're kind of just trying to wing it. Very, very hard. The last thing you want to do is maintain your personal brand, right? A lot of these companies, and you'll notice this yourselves, as you go through the program, as you get closer and closer to graduation, and you're working on songs, you're working on um, whatever program you're in, game design, game arts, you're going to realize that your brand is going to grow, And the best way to do it, the best way to develop a strong brand is to maintain the integrity of your brand. A lot of companies do that. So you might see the brand change a little bit, like the look of a logo might change, but the integrity of it, the quality of the brand should remain as great as it's always been, as great as the reputation is. Um, so one thing you want to do definitely for your presentation, and if you got a tip from our feedback, this is especially for you, is be transparent when you deliver your presentation. Just be honest, be compassionate, be warm, and it's going to be so much easier to believe you. You're going to sound so much more credible. So be honest, be unique. And this is where the star moment comes in. I noticed a lot of you had great stories. You shared great stories about kind of like how you got into the industry, but I wasn't sure if it was this star moment. So remember, the star moment should be something memorable, something that's going to set you apart. So, for example, if I'm in game art, I could tell you all day long that I grew up, playing video games, and I've always loved video games. But a lot of people are going to say that, and what's going to set you apart from the rest of the crowd is sharing a unique story. So I always think something emotional tends to get them in the gut. They won't forget an emotional story. They might forget you saying, how much you love video games, and that's fine to say. You don't That's perfectly fine, but definitely be mindful of your star moment. So when you're playing back your presentation, just ask yourself, oh, where was my star moment? Did I have one? And if I did, is it strong enough? Is it memorable enough? Right? Don't compromise. Now, I think this is a really, really good piece of advice, but there's an exception, and I'll share a story with you. I might have already told you guys this before. Just bear with me. There was a there was a and let's say an artist. I'll say an artist, and he was pitching to a room full of executives, an idea about a cartoon. And so he had his poster boards out. He had like his smaller and larger, big, huge poster board of all the characters in the cartoon. And he was talking to the executives about them and said, this would be a really great show. The kids would love it, but also an older crowd would love it as well. And he was really passionate about his idea, and he was determined to sell it to them. He was determined, absolutely. He was like I said, he wasn't about to compromise his idea. And so everything was going well in the presentation. One of the execs, studio execs, raised his hand and said, what about those two little guys at the bottom? What are they all about? And so the artist was a little bit of annoyed at the question. He was like, no, he was thinking in his head, dude, I'm talking to you about the other guys. They're not really a part of it. But he went with it. He saw a kind of glimmer in the executive's eyes, and he went with it. He ran with it, and he said, okay. He said, yeah, these guys at the bottom, they're a major part of the show, and they're going to be doing this, and they're really funny, and blah, 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 blah. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make was, if he ignored the executive's kind of interest, curiosity, and just played that interest down, he would have been that opportunity would have been shut, because this whole idea for the cartoon was called Ren and Stimpy. And so after he was willing to compromise just a little bit, after he was willing to kind of answer this guy and explain a little further, a little bit more about the show, they were totally on board with it, and they really liked especially what he had to say about the Ren and Stimpy aspect of the show. So keep that in mind. Sometimes it's good to you know just keep your ears open, keep a really, really keen eye for, those particular questions. Exactly, Kiana. Thank you. You read my mind. Pay attention to the audience. And this is why the audience is king. The audience is king. You have to know what they want. If you ignore what they want or some questions, because they're not asking questions to bother you. They're a lot of times they're asking questions because they really want to know, and they might have sparked their interest. So anyway, sometimes it's good to compromise. All right, so I wanted to show you a couple of examples of, we're all familiar with these logos, with these brands, and there's something about each one. Whether we know this or not, each one of these corporations, companies, they maintain their brand. They have people on their board that all they do is examine, like, how can we be better? We're good right now. We're really good. People like our products. Why do they like our products? Because we consistently deliver a quality product, right? So keep that in mind when you're developing your brand. I think we all are pretty familiar. And don't be evil. Very good advice, right? Those of you who are not familiar with Enron and Ken Lay, this is just an example of how presentations can be used for evil purposes, for greedy purposes. Presentations, the idea is they can be used to kind of convey and produce very powerful, very positive outcomes. They can be used to kind of like change minds, but in this case, the people, the executives, the bosses at Enron, Ken Lay and others, they created presentations with false graphs, with false statistics about their company, and a lot of people bought into it. So yeah. So keep that in mind. You don't want to be not being honest. Absolutely, Kiana. You don't want to be evil. So use your presentations when you're trying to make statistics, when you're saying and trying to convey an idea to the audience. Use true statistics, positive, true graphs, and and this won't happen to you, because what the result of this was just a tragedy. A lot of the company employees, they lost their jobs, and you can only imagine what that, how many families that devastated, right? Exaggeration of some things considered evil as well. Tony, good question. I think it can be. It really depends, though. Like right now, I think I know where you're going with it. right now, it's okay for your particular assignment. Right now, I would say you are a lot of us. We're in a sense, we're kind of exaggerating. We are, but we're not. But we're saying that we're masters of this, or we have completed this, but this is all like, this is all going to happen. But nobody I would hope nobody would turn in their presentation right now to say Pixar or to Apple, and that, then it would be dishonest. But when you graduate, yeah, you can say, because it will have been true. All of that will be true. You can project success without fabricating things. I believe that too, Joshua. Yeah, absolutely. Changing the world is hard. Everything that's worth something is going to be hard. So keep that in mind when you're in the next month, and because you're going to have so many of those moments where you're just going to, like, you'll want to, throw your phone against the wall, but don't do that, because it's not good for your phone. Not that I do that ever, but you will have many of those moments. But just remember that it's going to be hard, but it will be worth it. It will be worth it, and we're here to help. And you also have each other, so don't underestimate the what you can learn from each other. And also, don't underestimate the resources that are available to you guys. The library resources, the internet. Oh my gosh. OMG. I mean, just the other day I was working on Pro Tools and I got stuck on something, and sure, I could have picked up the phone and called tech support, but now I looked online and within seconds I found the answer to my question, and I got rolling again. So yeah, the answer is out there. So don't be too quick to throw in the towel. In fact, never throw in the towel, right, folks? Nobody here is going to throw in any towel. YouTube is great. It is indeed, folks. Now, let's see here. I wanted to chat a little bit about the final presentation. To see it where you want to go. Very good advice, Joshua. You have to see it and know where you want to go to maintain the steps required to get there. Absolutely. Very good advice. Yeah, and that's why I often recommend to make yourself a timeline. If you print out the courses in your degree program, you'll know what you have to do to get there. All right, so the final draft. So basically, we all completed the first draft. So the final draft is just basically a modification of the first draft. We're hoping to see some revisions, right? But like I said, you don't have to make every single suggestion made. If it's a biggie, if it's a like audio narration, or if you went over the time limit big time, like say you turned in a 6-minute long presentation, then yeah, that's one of those little modifications that you might want to work on. But let's see here. I think we're all good on the instructions on this, so I don't want to bore you guys to death with, because essentially like I said, this is the first draft, but it's the final draft. Everybody's going to be turning in a final draft. So I think the most important things to remember are that you want to make sure that you do some modifications. Right? Anybody have any question about the final presentation? No? And me too, Joshua. Joshua said, I meet lots of people who have an idea with no vision. Yeah. The thing about having an idea is it's easy to have an idea, but to take that idea and just like hammer it out and make sure there's no other idea out there, right? And then develop the idea into something tangible. Now that takes some patience, some persistence that a lot of you guys are already developing. Let's see. I'm just looking at some of these questions. Here's 5 minutes too long. Between 3 to 4 minutes. Yes, thank you very much. That is true. Personal camera. All right. Any other questions about the final presentation? Well, Kevin said, for time, should we factor in the transition between slides when your presentation is completely done? Say, for example, if you're working in PowerPoint, what you'll want to do is you'll want to save it into a movie. And so when we play that movie, that's basically how long your presentation should take. You know what I'm saying? So, okay, cool. Let's see here. Did Office 365 work for everybody? I've had different presentations, but I wanted to see if you are able to access it. It would definitely be worth to check it out. Okay, cool. Okay. Okay. Understood. Office just has like Word and PowerPoint. OneDrive is another good option. Okie dokie. All right, so let's see here. So I think if we're all good on here, I'm going to mosey on over to the peer feedback. Let's see here. Okay, so we've reviewed this. So using an assessment guide. So under the peer feedback assignment for the instructions, you will see a number of PDF documents. And so you'll see an assessment guide, like a feedback guide, that's there to help you guys ask the right questions. So you'll definitely want to make sure you open that and check that out. So in response to the feedback from your peers and instructor, include your thoughts on the following questions in the discussion. What improvements will you implement to make your final draft better? Would you like most about your presentation? Would you like least? What is one thing you notice in a peer presentation that you would like to implement in your own? So this is in addition to the feedback guide. So you want to keep that in mind. And that, like I said, is also on the, it's a PDF document. The other thing I wanted to open up was this, just as a reminder. We provided FAQ documents for essentially every assignment, but so it just answers a lot of frequently asked questions. How much do I have to change my presentation from the week 3 rough draft? So this week is about learning from feedback. You don't have to implement every suggestion from every source. Your own judgment counts as well. So, however, your revised submission must show evidence that you have incorporated some suggestions from the instructor, fellow students, and that you've pushed your own ideas further along from the previous week. And that could be a number of things. That could be maybe you had like some audio issues. Maybe your voice sounded maybe the audio sounded a little weak, like soft, like the volume. I don't, maybe it was. I didn't hear anybody's that sounded weak, but I've heard some where the volume could have been turned up a bit. Okie dokie. Should I have a slide visual at the end with all of my images, video, audio sources cited? So yeah, definitely. And it doesn't have to be like formal APA setting. I'm okay if you just include the link of the original source. And you can do that at the bottom of the image or at the very end. Here's the thing though, if your presentation includes some of your own work, like if you're in game art and you wanted to include some of your own drawings, then I would definitely just put a text there on the picture itself. Say, this, put your name and the name of the drawing. That is very, very important because there should be no question, no doubt, that was you. Right? So, all right. Very important question here. How will I know my final grade? Hey, check this out, folks. My battery is dying. Great. Okay. All right. Well, real quick, Tika, you might have to take over. The class will remain available to you for 2 weeks after the last day. Please check back to see if the teachers message you about accessing your final work, the grades. And the reason why we say that is because sometimes, not often, but sometimes your assignment may not have gotten through or there might be something wrong with the assignment. So we need to be able to contact you. And so if you're not checking your messages or your email, you won't know, and we don't want that to happen. Cool. Tika, I'm gonna hand over the microphone to you just in case, hopefully. Is that cool? Because my battery is about to die. Elf is about to die. Sorry. All right, here goes nothing. Okay, before I go, thank you guys so much for your awesomeness, for your participation. I'll stick around in the chat box for as long as my computer allows. But if you don't hear from me, good luck in your future classes. Best of luck. Just keep kicking butt and don't give up. All right. All right, folks. Here's Tika.
All right. So hey everybody, this is Tika speaking. Um, so I'm not sure if I have anything more to add that Eddie hasn't mentioned. So yeah, thank you, Eddie, for going over this presentation. Tony says, "Hey, Tumblr." Ah! Oh, sorry, my browser is open. So yeah, I get on Tumblr sometimes. I don't do anything with it, but um. So yeah, just to review, just going over the peer feedback as a reminder, um, that when you're doing your feedback for your peers, you want to answer all of these questions here, and you want to do this for at least 3 of your classmates. So ideally, there should be people within your group that me and Eddie have given out to you. If people within your group didn't post their work, then that's fine. You can just make a comment on someone else's your presentation, and ideally try to find someone that doesn't have that many feedback or comments yet. Because ideally, what we want is for everyone to have about the same amount of um, so that ideally we don't have one person that just has one commentary and then other people have like 10. So try to help each other out and give constructive feedback. So you don't want to say, "Hey, I love it," which is it's awesome to hear that because it's a great confidence booster. But what you want to do when you give feedback to your classmates is to answer these questions. Um, and when you answer these questions, you want to be specific. So these first two says explain. So what did you find most effective about the presentation? Explain that. um, and then which part was most difficult to follow? You want to explain that as well. Maybe there was some sort of a hiccup with the presentation. Um, maybe the audio wasn't working, or maybe the visuals were too busy. Maybe that's difficult to follow, something like that. But you want to be specific on like where they could improve. And this question is tying back here to the course content. So this is where you get points for like relevancy. So based off what you learned this month, what advice do you have for the presenter for their final? For example, any course concepts like providing a call to action or having a following a spark line where you have variation and using different presentation techniques like incorporating maybe a little video clip or emotional story or something like that, some variation, 3-act structure, all blah blah yada yada, or slideology, um, like making sure you don't have like a slide you meant, like basically a document and a slide. You don't want to have that. So those basic things you can mention, um, and then what technique skills or qualities from the course materials this presentation exemplify. So basically, this is like compliment sandwich. Like here's what they did good, here's what they did right, here's what needs to be improved. Um, another thing to improve, but then here's something that could be that's actually that they did well. So this is a good guide for you to give feedback for your classmates. And all of this is due by tomorrow night. So um, if you still have time, to slowly like watch people's presentations and then give thoughtful feedback and post. have a bunch of feedback discussion board and then answer these questions. And you can just basically read all of your feedback that was given to you and just make one big post explaining and answering these questions. Talking about what improvements will you make to make your final draft better based off of your peer feedback and also our feedback to you. Um, what did you like most about your own presentation? So hopefully you did like your presentation, that you liked most of it. So if there's something that you liked, you can state that this is what I'm going to keep. This is what I really, really enjoyed. So I'm going to put that in there. But then also acknowledge maybe there's a part you didn't like that you liked the least. Like maybe your audio could have been improved, or maybe you didn't like your pictures that you used. It was just last minute thrown in together, but now you have more time to add that in there. So you can feel free to state what you didn't like, and that's fine. Um, as long as you state what you're going to do now to fix it. And this part here is, what is one thing you noticed in a peer's presentation that you would like to implement on your own? So this is a good way to basically incorporate what you've learned from other people watching their presentations and seeing what you can take away. Because we can all learn from each other and grow in that regard. Um, like, so a lot of people did awesome. So you can say, oh, well, I really liked that, Timothy did this in his presentation, and I want to do this too. Like, he, spoke clearly with enthusiasm. I want to have that too because my voice is more monotone or whatever. So this is a general idea. And so this can be posted by, the discussion board closes by Sunday. So you have time to make that, but you want to make sure you have that all typed in there, and then actually try to incorporate those changes into your final. So again, it's all at your discretion. You can take what you want and leave it or whatever, but you still want to see that you read it and that you've listened to people. Um, so people like to be acknowledged about, they took the time to make a post to you, so you want to kind of maybe give a quick thank you and acknowledge that you read it. Even if you don't, take their advice to heart, but at least you read it and you're learning from it. Let's see, feedback can be given in comments of their posts. Yeah, exactly. You can like reply to the post and just give them feedback. Try to answer those questions. Like here, try to address these questions in there. You can reply to people individually. Like if you have hopefully 3 people that commented on your post, made a reply post, you can comment to people individually, answering all these questions, or you can make one gigantic post, just covering everything. Um, but how everyone do that's up to you. But we'll be looking at that next week and making sure that you responded to all your feedback. And let's see here. So hopefully that makes sense. So your feedback is due Thursday. Hopefully your video, your presentation was posted already. And if not, please get it up there as soon as possible. So the sooner you get it up there, the sooner you can get feedback, and so you can get those improvements, or those suggestions for improvements. So you have time between, like, say, now, tomorrow, and then like Sunday to work on it. Exactly, Kiana. Feedback to your classmates is due Thursday. And then you have, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday to actually incorporate that. You can start today, of course, but um, when you get those feedback from yourself, I mean, for your classmates and for myself, then um, you can like work on it some more and make those changes. Um, but yeah, so just want to remind you guys, of course, it needs to be updated, like Eddie went over before. It needs to be different than a week 3 submission, because as a warning, like I've had students that in week 3, like their presentation was, A quality, and just because they got an A, they probably thought, well, I don't need to make any changes, so they would submit the same file for week 4, and I know there's a lot of you. We were looking at like maybe about 40, 50 submissions this week. So you may think, oh, they won't remember, but we take notes, and I'm a visual person, so I remember what I just looked at. So I'll be like, wait, this looks familiar. And then I'll open up the file that you gave me, that the student gave me from week 3, and I'll literally, like, I'll play back to back, like side to side. And so the audio is the same, the visuals are the same, absolutely nothing was changed, except for maybe the file name. But if the content and the audio, everything is the same, the images, nothing was changed, then you don't get any credit. Like something needs to be changed. So to just let you know, like we will compare and contrast. If it's not obvious that you know what changes are made, if there's like a very minor change, we're gonna look at your old file and compare and contrast. Um, so make sure that you make some changes. If you make changes that isn't evident, like maybe changing font or one image, then you might want to maybe like make a note and make a message to us and say, hello, I just let you know I made these changes to my presentation in case you missed it. But I changed this on slide 5 and the text on slide 3. So I hope that's okay. Like, just let us know if there's like a minor change. But hopefully there's more of a drastic change than just like, changing the spelling and like the font from Times New Roman to like Helvetica. Like we want something um, more impressive, more eye-catching. Um, See, Joshua says I network outside my class to other students with different instructors and majors for feedback. Okay, well that works too. I mean, the more feedback's definitely the better. So yeah, the more eyes you're gonna have to look at this, that's even better. If you have, your family, friends, just other people that you know, just to look at it, um, yeah, that could work. Um, so yeah, definitely more criticism or constructive criticism, it never hurts. Um, just be careful when you get those feedbacks from other people that aren't familiar with the course material, because they don't know exactly what we're having you guys learn. They might not know about the spark line or having a slide unit, because people make these common mistakes in their presentations. So you should be careful about the advice you get from other people. Exactly, Kiana. They might give you wrong advice. It could be well-meaning advice, but it could be um, wrong. Okay, if it's within creative presentation class, like it's the same class but different. If it's creative presentation, then that's fine. Just like not someone that works at the grocery store or someone that's not that has no idea. It's been out of school for like 30 years. So cool. Eddie, someone told you you weren't cool. Oh, that person needs to be talked to privately and reprimanded. Yeah, Eddie, you're a cool guy. We all think you're cool. Yeah, we like you. Yes, and don't spoil Walking Dead stuff for me because I haven't watched it. Um, I actually have like I get actual anxiety watching that because I just can't. So I don't know. That's off topic. It's Halloween too, so that doesn't really help. I mean Halloween month. Yeah, yeah, off topic. Yeah, the death scenes for like these people. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe you showing that on TV. And I get nightmares. I can't. I love Walking Dead, but when it gets to the killings and the gruesome ways that they have people die on screen, like I I say that's a star moment for me. Like I'll always remember that. It's probably not for the best. Oh my God, Tony, I agree. I'm sorry for you guys that are like not watching Walking Dead or not following up on that. Just don't care. Um, but yeah. Thank you, Eddie. Yeah, repeat. It's not real. It's not real. But they make it look really weird, really real. Yeah, that's a problem. So yeah, and killing babies is not cool. Hopefully they won't do that with Judas. There's a baby in the show, and a baby in a zombie movie. Probably not a good. It's not gonna probably not gonna end well. Um, but yeah, that's off topic. Um, so let's see here. I think that's it. So, are there any questions about the discussion or the project? So as a reminder, we will be giving your grades out today. If you haven't gotten it already, then you should get it today. And Eddie and I are giving audio feedback. And So if you didn't listen to it, it's like a probably a little MP4 file, or it's a little file. You just can just play it right in the browser or download it. Um, but so yeah, hopefully the audio helps you out, and to hear our voices. We try to vary it up a bit so you don't get bored with just text, and just hopefully it's more engaging that way to have the audio version. And for a lot of you, it's probably very short feedback, or we're probably just telling you, "Hey, great job," but we try to give you more detailed feedback than that. But um, yeah, we'll tell you if there's anything more specific that needs to be changed. Like for some students, I've said, oh, there's a spelling error on, this slide, or you need to rehearse your audio narration a bit more. There are a lot of ums, ahs, some coughing, babies crying. Just we'll tell you. Um, if there's anything really, really, that specific that jumps out at us, we'll tell you specifically what should be changed. All right. Um, all right. Uh, so your presentation needs a lot of work. That's perfectly fine. You still have today, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday to really make it shine. I also suggest if you still are familiar with software programs to double check and look at lynda.com and refresh yourself on using PowerPoint or Keynote or whatever you want to use. Because in this class, the software program is kind of up to you. This class is more, when it comes to these software programs, this is basically software, and it's a software agnostic class where we're teaching you mainly just the concepts of, having a good slide, having good slide designs, and having a good story to tell, making sure you address your audience, making them king. But as far as like the technical aspects, using certain software, that's completely up to you. But yeah, so the technical parts about using those software programs, you're gonna have to learn that on your own to solve any type of little issues you may have. Let's see here. Let me look at some of the feedback. Um, okay, if you have trouble with people looking at your feedback on your presentation, if it's not working, then just let us know, remind us, and we'll see what we can do, or tell you to, give you suggestions on how you can make that post. One thing you could do, like if you embedded the file in the browser, in your post, and it's not working, one option would be to upload it to YouTube, and then provide that YouTube link in a post, and then that way your classmates can look at it. So that's probably the easiest solution if your media file in the discussion board isn't working. And if you can provide a web link to your video, your presentation, then that should solve any issues with that. Let's see here. Um, so another student asked about the mic. You just got a mic and you want to resubmit. I had another student ask me kind of on a similar question about resubmitting. And unfortunately, at this point, since the deadline already passed, then you can't resubmit. So sorry about that. But at least you have your audio, your microphone, and since you know what needs to be changed, you just make those changes for week 4. So that's all I can suggest. So I'm sorry about that, but you have to adhere to the deadlines, and whatever was submitted by the deadline, that's what we need to adhere to. All right, thank you, Kiana, for mentioning that. Walmart has a ton of options for microphones. And what I'm using, I just have, I'm using a Mac, but you could probably use this, I guess you could use it for Windows laptop or desktop, but I'm using like the Apple headphones, the earbuds, and it comes with a microphone already embedded. It's already in the headphone itself, the earbuds. And that's how I'm talking to you guys right now. So I forgot how much it cost, but I'm sure there are other ones out there, probably like $20, $10, or less. So that's all. You don't have to really get fancy with it. You don't have to get like the snowball or professional, you know, microphone that people use to talk on the radio, you know, with, just something that basically you can hear your voice with. Um, so you don't need to spend a ton of money. You're already spending a lot of money just by coming here, so you don't have to spend additional, unless you have absolutely nothing to work with. Um, but yeah, exactly, Joshua. Use your mic. I mean, use your phone on your, and the microphone on your phone. That is one way to do that. Record yourself and then transfer the file over. And, maybe, since it has to be 3 to 4 minutes, maybe just talking to your phone, make sure that, time yourself, make sure it lasts about the same amount of time, like 3 to 4 minutes, and then add that audio file into your PowerPoint or whatever you're using, and just show the slides that times up with your audio. So as far as the technical parts like that, you have to figure that out on your own. You have to problem solve those little issues. So I hope that helps. That's it's a little suggestion. But yeah, I see that a lot of you got like great audio suggestions, which was hopefully you guys explored that with the week 3 discussion board where you shared your audio suggestions and your audio files, your test files. So if you're not sure what exactly what audio programs or microphones to use, I would suggest revisiting that discussion board because I'm sure there are a lot of good suggestions that were made by your other classmates. All right, so I think that is it. I think it's been about an hour, so I think we're going to wrap this up. So if there are any other questions, again, review the instructions for the peer feedback and the brand yourself presentation. Make sure you make some sort of edit for your final in order to get credit. And I think this should be in like red, all caps, but final draft must be different, alter from the first draft to receive credit. So keep that in mind right there. All right. So I think that is it. So thank you everybody for joining us this month and today. We really appreciate you guys joining us. It was great to have you. You're a great group of students, and we're looking forward to seeing your presentations. Your if you do week 3 ones, you're still going through, but we're also looking forward to your week 4, seeing your idealized self in this presentation. And we hope that you can actually make those dreams come true. Basically, make that presentation to reality. And you graduate from Full Sail. You've learned from these courses. You've gained all these skills, these soft skills, the technical skills. You got internships and working with Pixar or Sony or whatever your dream job is, that you actually reach it. All right, everybody. I think this is it. The last time you'll hear our voices, our awesome, awesome voices. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. It was great having you, and goodbye. Good luck. Your new class starts next Monday, so be prepared. Take care.